Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. And what I thought we'd do today, I'm going to park the four-wheeler here at the corner of the property. We're going to walk into the wildlife area. I know where there are several trash dumps in the wildlife area. They've probably been there for years and years and years before they had city dumps. Possibly some trash could have been dumped there after they had city dumps, obviously. But I expect to find trash back there that's fairly old, 40s, 50s, 60s time frame for sure. I'm not planning to dig. We're not going on some big privy dig, or not going to dig 6, 8 foot trenches underneath hills to try to find bottles or in the side of riverbanks. That's all great stuff. But what I want to show you today is something that you can do while you're in the woods that's real easy. Probably the cheapest hobby you could ever have. If you're out mushroom hunting anyway, or adding mushroom hunting to the hike, then you can hunt mushrooms, and you can hunt surface bottles. And when I say surface bottles, I mean bottles that are exposed above the surface or just slightly below the surface that you can get at very easily. And some of those bottles can be worth money, but they're fun to collect. And we'll put a little bit of a value on some of these bottles just from my personal knowledge as we go, maybe speculate others that we find. But the value of the bottles isn't really as important as getting outside, getting exercise, finding yourself a hobby that you can afford to do. And really, it's a cheap hobby because you need a 5-gallon bucket, which is what my camera's sitting on right now. You need a couple simple tools like a shovel and something that you can dig like a root digger. And then I generally carry a potato rake that I use as kind of a walking stick at the same time. But it gives you the reach to just pull roots and low-lying plants and foliage out of the way and expose those bottles on the surface, or pull bottles up that are just below the surface. And so, you know, you probably got 25 bucks in tools. And if you bought them at a yard sale, maybe a lot less than that. I'm talking about, we don't bought brand new tools at a hardware store. Maybe you got 25 bucks in tools with you and you're ready to rock and roll. So we're just walking around the woods today, and we're doing a little bit of mushroom hunting and also a little bottle hunting. We're going to talk about hunting bottles today a little bit in this video. There's some devil's urn mushroom right here. And it's generally one of the first mushrooms to come up in eastern woodlands in the springtime. There's really a lot of mayapple up and sign like that the morel should be up, but I'm not finding very many of them where I'm at now. I found a few last week. Haven't found any yet this week, but putting in the miles is really what that's all about. Okay, so we've got a trash pile here. Goes on for quite a ways. The thing with some of this is this could be recent, which we know it is. Looking at some of these cans, although most of them aren't too recent, but some of it could be quite a bit older. And being selective in what you're picking is kind of important. But at the same time, things are worth more than you think they are a lot of times that you'd be surprised about. I'm going to show you some examples as we go, but I'm trying to date things a little bit. And this is an old Listerine bottle. It's embossed with the Listerine logo on it. And it's dated 1968, right on the bottom of it. It says 1168. The bottle's probably made in the 11th month of 1968. So we know that that bottle is, what, 50 years old? Something like that. If it was 70, it'd be 50 and 20. So yeah, about 70 years old or close to it. Over 60 years old. And that bottle's not worth anything. But there are going to be bottles in this area probably that'll be a little bit older than that. So we're looking for a part of this pile that is pre-1968. We're looking at something from the 50s is what we're really looking for to start getting into a little bit of value as far as money goes. So I'm going to start digging around here a little bit, and we'll talk as we go. All right, so there's a piece of like indoor-outdoor carpet or something right here that's got moss growing on it. I lifted that thing up, and right underneath that thing, there's a pretty cool bottle here. It's got a screw top on it. But we're going to, it was a label bottle at one time because there's no embossing on it that I can find or feel. So it had a label on it here and here. We'll see the bottom of it here, see if we can find a date, maybe of a manufacturing, and then we'll get back with you here. So there was a little bit of liquid in this thing, and I could feel it when I dumped it out. It was oily. And looking at the top, there's a JJ label on there, or embossing in the plastic lid. And again, this is from 1966. So this was probably a Johnson & Johnson baby oil bottle is what that probably was. Now, that could possibly be something a collector would be looking for if they were decorating an old vintage bathroom or something like that. The fact that it has the lid, the only thing it's really missing is the original labels. But that thing could be worth 10 bucks. There's no sense leaving that thing laying behind. There's kind of a bottle digger's heartbreak here. Got a nice blue vintage ball mason jar, broken. And more times than not, especially in these surface trash piles, that's what you're gonna find is broken stuff. You gotta get down below to find the unbroken stuff. And if it's been burned, chances of it being broken are very, very great. There's a bottle that's completely full. It kind of suds up. It may have been some kind of a beer bottle. It doesn't have any label on it, no embossing. Looks like it has a 6 on the bottom of the bottle, which means it was probably made in the 60s sometime. The lid's rusted on and I can't read what's on the label. But again, we're still in the 60s era trash here. And we need to get kind of below that level. 40s, 50s would be more apt to find kind of what I'm looking for today. All right, so I've drifted over in the pile a little bit. And now I'm starting to see what I'm looking for. This brown Clorox bleach bottle is more along the lines of what I'm looking for. But this one is probably 68, 69, looking at the bottom of it. Still not as old as what I'm looking for. But these brown Clorox bleach bottles, fleecy whites, Roman bleach, all of those different ones, can bring anywhere from $10 to $20 on the internet, depending on how old they are. So if you could pick up 10 of these, 15 of these in a day, fairly close to the surface, that's a pretty good day's hike, especially if you're mushroom hunting at the same time. Okay, so I started rooting around by this old tree, and an old potato digger is your best friend when it comes to this stuff. Here is a fleecy white bleach bottle, and this one is a 1955. This is more what I'm looking for, that vintage era, 50s, 40s, 50s stuff. This bottle easily could be sold for 10 bucks on places like eBay or Etsy. All right, this is kind of stuff we're looking for, and I wouldn't pass one of these up. I started digging in a little bit at the base of this tree, and here is a old embossed Pyrex. Anybody knows what this is, you can tell me. I have no idea. Looks like it's got some kind of a pop top lid that was on it at one time. But it is, might even have been a baby bottle for that matter. In fact, I bet that is what it was, because it's got ounce markers all the way up, and it is embossed Pyrex on the bottle. Now that one is probably worth some money. I'll have to go look it up, but something like that is definitely worth hanging on to, and an easy surface dig. I'm not digging 5-foot deep trench holes here. This stuff's on the surface pretty much. Okay, so we've dug in a little bit deeper over here, and we're just using this potato rake and nothing more. I don't have a bunch of digging tools out here. There's a 1955 ball jar. It's a beer bottle, no deposit, no return. But we're in the right era of time with that 55. If we could get a little bit earlier than that, I'd be happy. So this one was right on the top of the surface, and sometimes you'll have that. Things will wash out, get ran down toward creeks, things like that. That's why you find bottles a lot in creeks. I can't discern the date on this or what kind of bottle it is, because I'm not that affluent when it comes to bottles. I'm sure somebody will look at that and say, yep, that's what it is. But from the neck and the mouth, it looks to me like it's a pretty early bottle, maybe a pop top of some kind or something. So I'll let somebody watching this video tell me more about that bottle, but I'm gonna hang on to it. Scraping away the leaves and the first layer of dirt. That's how I find a lot of bottles. That one laying back there, it looks like it's had a cap on it. I can't wait to look at. This bottle here I thought was cracked when I saw this, or jar, but I picked it up, and that's actually made that way on purpose for some reason, and I don't have any idea why. I don't have any idea what that bottle was for, or what that jar was for. Hopefully somebody watching this video will be able to tell me, but that's definitely in there on purpose when it was manufactured. Here's the bottom of it. Can't really tell anything from the bottom of it either. It's got a patent date on it, and really no other markings. It's very, very cool. I've always been told when you find something that you never had or you've never seen, you better grab it. And I've never seen anything like that, so I'm grabbing it. All right, here's another fleecy white. This one's dated 9 of 52. Fleecy white bleach. Easy $10 bottle right there. We ain't walking out of the woods without that, dude. Oh, Pepsi-Cola bottle right there from 1979, embossed, but it definitely needs to be older than that. But Coke, Pepsi, soda bottles in general can be worth pretty good money. You find the right bottle. And just about any old embossed soda bottle you can get something out of. And you could probably get $3 to $5 out of that bottle if you wanted to lug it out of the woods for sure. Okay, so here we are back at the four-wheeler. Been out there 2 hours maybe. Didn't find any morels. Found some devil's urn. I did find some witch's butter, but I don't think I recorded that. Anyway, not important, just some other mushrooms that weren't what I was looking for. And then we found several bottles. We found a couple of different fleecy white bleach bottles. Never gonna leave them behind. We found that Pyrex, probably some kind of a baby bottle is my guess of what that is, with the measurement markers on the side as thick as the glass is, so it could be heated up in hot water to warm the milk. Who knows, but I'm gonna look it up on the internet and find out. I put a little higher value on that because things like that are more collectible. And then that weird, strange bottle with the lip inside of it that I haven't figured out what that is yet, but I will. And I just picked up a couple other bottles like this one here that's got a lip on it. This small amber bottle here that probably had methylate or something medicinal in it. And then I picked up a jar that was embossed on the side with some measurement markers and things like that. I can't really discern positively what the date is on it, but I picked it up anyway because it'd be good for someone's kitchen. It's got some tomatoes on the side of it. I assume it was a tomato paste or tomato sauce jar, but it's got measurement markers on the side. It's got embossed tomatoes on the rim. And so if somebody cleaned that up, wanted to put that on their counter with their wooden spoons, things like that in it, it would be pretty cool. So it's an easy item that I can use to barter, trade, or sell if I want to in the future. But I really don't do this so much to sell them. I do collect some old bottles, but I collect bottles really that are much older than this. But it's a good way to just go out and have a hobby. And I'll trade these bottles off for other bottles that I want, or I'll sell these bottles somewhere on eBay or Etsy or something like that, fairly cheap, just to get money to buy bottles that I want, possibly. I'm not a big bottle collector. I have a very small collection. I have more bottles that I need to get rid of than ones that I want to keep, but that's the only way it works with hobbies. The more you get into things, the more the stuff you have laying around. But I just thought that today would be a good day for us to go out and show you something you can do without a lot of equipment, without a lot of expense, and even really without a lot of experience, because there's plenty of information on the internet on, how to date bottles, where bottles are made, when they're manufactured, what they were for, if they don't have labels on them, things like that. That information is all over the internet right now. So it's an easy hobby to get into. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters and the Pathfinder School. I appreciate you joining me today. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.